Hey guys, we are going to be working on dividing fractions. We've added, we've subtracted, we've multiplied, and we've divided. Remember, what is the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. That might help us later on with this when we start dividing. Today we're going to work on dividing a whole number by a fraction. But the first thing we need to do is get our notes out, and we have to write this word down. The word is reciprocal, and it's the multiplicative inverse. Now, this right now isn't going to make any sense to you, but this is a very important word, reciprocal, when we get dividing fractions. So write it in your notes, keep it in the back of your mind as we go forward into dividing fractions. So let's look at this problem. 6 divided by 1/2. So I want you to stop the tape, and I want you to talk to your partner about what you think the answer is and why you think that is your answer. And then once you've talked about it, then I want you to come back and let's see if you came up with the same thing I did. All right, we're back, and at first when you look at this, most kids and most adults think, if you just look at it, 6 divided by 1/2, well, that's 3. Because 6 divided by 2, and 2 is half, so it must be 3. But I think it's always helpful when I draw things out at first when I'm trying to visualize what it is. So if I look at this, I have 6 blocks here, and if I divide those blocks into half, I don't have 3, I have 12. And when I think about it, oh, that makes sense. If I have a larger number and I cut them into smaller pieces, I'm going to have more. My quotient is going to be a whole lot more. So 6 divided by 1/2 equals 12. So if I have a whole number and I divide it by parts, my answer or my quotient is going to be a larger number than my whole number. Stop and think about that, and let's move on. So let's look at this story problem. Kit and Fred have 13 cookies. If they share the cookies equally, how many cookies will each person get? Now, before we said, well, you can't be equal on cutting cookies, but they are specifically asking us to divide 13 divided by 2. And if I do that, I look at what I know is close, and I know 12 divided by 2 is 6. So one person is going to get 6 cookies. But there is that one that's left over. Well, if I divide it equally, each person is going to get half. So I have 13 divided by 2 equals 6 and 1/2. Well, that makes sense to me. Let's see. If I have 4 children want to share 10 sub sandwiches so that everyone gets the same amount, how much will each kid get? So what do we have? We have 10 subs. We're dividing it by 4 because we have 4 kids. Well, if I look at this, I know 4 goes into 10. 2 times will get me to 8. So I'm wondering if each kid will get 2 sandwiches. Oh, but there's 2 left over. Well, if I have to make 4 equal parts, I can just divide them into half, and each one will get a half of a sandwich. So each one's going to get 2 and 1/2. That makes sense to me, especially when I drew it out. All right, now Joshua has 3 yards of ribbon. He needs 1/4 yard to make one bow. How many bows can Joshua make? Well, I have 3 yards here. But I also know I need 1/4 of a yard. So I'm going to break this 3 yards into 1 yard apiece and just think of it as 1 yard each while I'm working. Well, if I know I have 1 yard up here and I'm going to break it into fourths, so I have 3 divided by 1/4. I should always write my equation down. And if I follow the rule we figured out from the start, my number should be greater than 3 because I've got 3 yards and I'm breaking it into smaller pieces of a fourth. So if I do that, and what I do to one, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to break all of these into fourths. Now, my numerator tells me how many of each yard I'm going to need. So I'm going to need 1. Ooh, how many can I make out of all of it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can make 12 bows. Well, my rule still follows. Are you noticing anything else with this? When you have a whole number and a fraction, so far I've noticed, 3 times 4 equals 12. Does that work when I go back to here? 6 times 2 equaled 12. But notice, so far our numerator has only been a 1. My numerator is a 1 here. Does that make a difference? Okay, let's look here. 3 children want to equally share 6½ peanut butter sandwiches with no leftovers. How much can each child get? So what do I have? This time I have 6½ because that's what I have, divided by 3. So if I 6 divided by 3, I know each kid will get 2, but that means I have 1/2, and I'm going to divide that by 3 kids. So I have a different fraction here. So can I just do what I've been doing? 2 is 6. So does that make sense? If I have only 1/2 of a sandwich and I got to cut it into 3 equal parts, I'm going to have 6 whole sandwiches left? Ooh, that doesn't make sense at all. So let's look at it as a picture. So I had the 6 sandwiches and we decided each kid will get 2. I'm sorry, each kid will get 3 whole sandwiches. Correct? Is that what we came up with back here? One kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. Here's kind of our problem. We have too many sandwiches. But I have a 1/2 a sandwich right here. So with this 1/2 a sandwich, what do I have to do? I have to divide it into 3 equal parts. So if I divide it into 3 equal parts, how much did every kid get? 1/3? Does that make sense? If I have only 1/2 of a sandwich, they're going to get 1/3 of a sandwich? Oh, yes. Remember, I have to think of this sandwich as a whole sandwich, but I'm only going to get 1/3 of it, or 1/2 of it. So if I look at this, I really have how many equal parts if I had a whole sandwich? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm only going to get how many parts of that one? I'm only going to get, 1, 6 of it, because I have 6 equal parts when I have a half of a sandwich. I only have a half, but I always have to think of it as a whole. So if I think of it as a whole and I break it where I'm talking about this half, so I drew a line and I broke it evenly into 3 equal parts, how many parts did I get? I got 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And, so let's see. I got a total of 2 and 1/6 of the sandwich. Each person got. Well, so let's do this. Let's just work on the story problems that we have in our 2 worksheets of pages 93 and 94. Work those together, draw pictures, watch for patterns, see if you're going to figure anything out. And tomorrow we'll divide more of a fraction by a whole number.